So we talked about plotting points to graph lines, and now we're going to graph based on what we know about something called slope-intercept form. So earlier we talked about we could write a line as b plus mx, the starting value, sometimes called the fixed cost or the y-intercept, and then the slope is m. I guess, I've spoiled it. So what did b represent? The starting value. All right, sometimes it's called the y-intercept. Sometimes it's called the fixed cost. And again, a lot of times we'll see this as y equals mx plus b. Same thing. I'm just trying to be consistent with the book, and the book uses this form. All right, so b is going to be that value. So in the last example, in the try it now, b plus mx, b was 3, m was negative 4/3, right? Because the formula has a plus for the m. So if we have a minus, that means the m value is negative. So you can see the starting value, the y-intercept, right here at 3. More on that later. Then the question is, what did m represent? It was the slope. All right. And the slope, we talked is like y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We talked about how slope is the change in output over the change in input, or delta y over delta x. A lot of ways that we can think about slope. Another way that we can think of slope is rise over run. Okay, so let's show what I mean by that. Let's graph the same function as example 1, 5 minus 2/3 x, using the vertical intercept. And a lot of times we say y-intercept, but it might not be y, right? Our output might be c for cost or p for profit. So this book talks about it as a vertical intercept, but you can think about it as a y-intercept because usually y is the vertical thing, right? So this is more general, saying vertical intercept and slope. And I'm not used to saying vertical intercept, so a lot of times I might switch back and say y-intercept. That's what's going on here. So vertical intercept, that's going to be our b. The slope is going to be this whole negative value. So let's use this to graph. And then it just makes a note that negative 2/3 can be written as negative 2 over 3 or 2 over negative 3. And we're going to see how that affects things with rise over run. All right, so sorry, it's on the next page. Y equals 5 minus 2/3 x. We said b was 5. We said m was negative 2/3. Just rise over run. So our starting value is 5 up here. And again, I'm going to label my axes, x and y. If every box is just 1, I don't need you to specify this. But you should specify if it's not 1. So if it were like this, if you wanted to do this, which you could, then I would want you to specify. Feel free to let me know if you have questions or if you're ever unsure about what you need to include in these graphs. So we start at 5, and then we have our slope, rise over run. Most people will think about this as negative 2 over 3. So the rise is negative 2. That means we go down negative 2. Go down negative 2. And then we run 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3. And then that gives us this. Down 2 and 3 right is like this. Up is positive, right is positive. So we rise negative 2, that means we fall 2. Okay? But you could also have thought about this as 2 divided by negative 3. Oops. I don't know how to write a 3. And in this case, we go up 2, go up 1, up 2. And now it's a negative 3, so we go left 3. 1, 2, 3. And you can see, hopefully, that this is another point on the same line. So whether we fall, go right, or go up, go left, It's the same thing. But both of these ways of thinking about the slope are equally as good. Now we'll connect the dots, the line. And it is indeed the same line from example 1. So that's good. If we had the same equation from example 1 and we got a different picture, that would be a problem. You could also plug in some points here and make sure that these are on the right line. Anyway, that's it for this video. Y equals mx plus b, or b plus mx. The starting value and slope. This is usually quicker for a lot of people than the first one, but the first one is maybe a little safer, and the first one applies to any kind of function, not just lines. You have 2 different strategies. Good luck, and Happy New Year. What are the chances anyone's watching this on December 31st? Who knows? Bye-bye.